please hit that subscribe button.
Hey everybody.
Better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, the Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Lockdown and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, it's time to continue my favorite series here as we are looking at my favorite players by position on every NHL team. And continuing along with the Central Division, we will be talking about the Minnesota Wild today. Now before we begin, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, as that helps out a lot in getting in helping the channel. But let's get into it here, looking at my favorite Minnesota players. At left wing, we have Marcus Foligno. If you've been following this series, you know the kind of players that I like the best, and Marcus Foligno definitely fits the mold there. Big, physical player, not afraid to hit, not afraid to drop the gloves, can chip in offensively. I think people had a lot, especially towards the end of his time in Buffalo, he looked like he was starting to really develop offensively, and people thought that he was going to become, a highly productive power forward who could, score a good number of goals every year. The offense hasn't really been there for Marcus Foligno, but he still brings a lot to the lineup as a physical player, somebody who you can kind of move up and down the lineup, but is best suited as kind of a fourth line type guy. But a very big body, not afraid to use it, and just plays that style of play, that physical style of play that I really like a lot and enjoy watching. So I'm a big fan of Marcus Foligno. At center, we have Eric Staal. Definitely one of the best players on the Minnesota Wild. He's been in the league for a long time now. Very, very good center. Very, very good player. I've always liked Eric Staal from all the way back to when he was winning the Cup in 2006 with Carolina through now. I've been a fan of Eric Staal's. I think he's a really good player and a talented player, and someone that I've always enjoyed throughout his career. At right wing, we have Luke Kunin, who is a very interesting guy who, again, I think similar to Marcus Foligno in the style of play, where he's a pretty big body. He's not been afraid to drop the gloves so far in his NHL career. He's a physical guy. But we're starting to see the offense with Kunin start to show up here a little bit. And I hope that offensively he develops a little bit better than Marcus Foligno did. I hope that he does become that guy who can score, 20 goals, 40 points in a season, while also bringing that physical edge and playing that physical style as well. Because, again, when you look across the NHL, those are my favorite kind of players. Guys who can play physically, fight, get involved in all that, and also play well and, chip in offensively and produce as well. He's a young guy that I think has a very bright future ahead of him in the NHL, and I hope it all works out. He's a lot of fun to watch. On defense, my favorite defenseman is Matt Dumba for Minnesota, a guy that, again, very good player, liked him a lot throughout his entire NHL career. He's still pretty young, even though it feels like he's been in the league for a long time now, and he's been around a while. But he's still a pretty young guy, and just a really good two-way player, someone who isn't a strictly offensive defenseman, isn't strictly a defensive defenseman. He's very much a two-way guy, plays well at both ends, and brings a lot to the table. Second favorite D-man is Jared Spurgeon, another guy who I think is a very underrated player. He's kind of been overlooked for much of his NHL career, probably because he plays in Minnesota and he plays on a team that doesn't put up a whole lot of points offensively. If he was on a high-scoring team, the way like maybe a Toronto or a Florida or someone like that, I think a lot more people would know who Jared Spurgeon was, and I think he'd put up even bigger numbers than he has with Minnesota. But he's just a good, underrated, offensive defenseman who's had a very good NHL career, and it's continuing with the Wild as he's been there for a long time now. And finally, that brings us to goaltender, and I'm going to go with Devan Dubnyk. Rough year this year for sure for Dubnyk. Not his best at all, but he's had some good NHL seasons over the years. He's obviously played with Edmonton. He's played with the Coyotes, and he's played with Minnesota for a while now, and he's had some very good years with Minnesota. He's had some not so good years with Minnesota. This was not a good one, but still, between him and Stalock, he is my favorite of the goaltenders. So there you have it, guys. Those are my favorite spy position for the Minnesota Wild. At left wing, we have Marcus Foligno. At center, we have Eric Staal. At right wing, we have Luke Kunin. On D, we have Matt Dumba and Jared Spurgeon. And in goal is Devin Dubnyk. So with that, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to my Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very, very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.